going to side with the supers and reverse a bad decision. Because she has magic sunglasses, these superheroes are then going to embarrass themselves on the camera by making threats and undermining the whole legalization so that presumably it will never be ratified and no superhero will ever be legal again.
The fact that they're choosing ambassadors to do this, arranging it so that she saves an ambassador from the screenslaver, and then they get all these ambassadors on a boat. I did think that perhaps the siblings were on it together because Win is just all about, let's get on my boat. Let's go on this boat.
I thought they were going to go to international seas so they could do something illegal and not be held accountable for it.
Yeah, it just gives them somewhere to go and some place to set this climax that's remote, that we don't have to worry about the messy destruction of a city here.
Once they finally reveal the twist, which I saw from the very beginning, once that all gets revealed, I get much more into this film. Again, not because it's a great plot or story or you're hitting relevant themes so much, but as a superhero movie, yeah, we talked about the visuals and the animation. I think that's a lot of fun when Vi and Dash and Jack finally get the car and they go to rescue their parents. All this stuff I'm enjoying at just a popcorn superhero level.
Yeah, you want to see the kids save the parents at this point. I'm not any more on Helen's side than Mr. Incredible. I will say this, though. This has always been a scary scenario. I talked about it even with Shining. Watching parents turn on their children is just innately horrifying.
Even Frozone in this, when he turns against them, it's scary.
They're very upsetting, have always been upsetting, even in cartoons and innocuous fare. A purple Smurf is what I go to. There was an episode of the Smurfs, yes, the most innocuous of cartoon characters, where there was a bug that bit them on the tail, and one by one, virally, they became evil, ganapping purple Smurfs.
That were biting each other on the ass. There was so much wrong with that. They became zombies.
And I was having purple Smurf flashbacks
oh, no.
in this climax, watching these once heroic people turn evil and threaten children. It is tense in its own way, and I do think that it will probably alarm. They were wise enough to know that Helen and Bob are never going to physically attack these children. They give it to Screech and the others to be the heavies, because it would be too much to see Elastigirl beating on her kids.
An aside, I did go back and rewatch the Purple Smurf episode, and it is still disturbing as fuck.
I'm sure it is. I'm never going back.
Yeah, this end, I do like the Incredibile. I feel bad for the collector who bought it and it's robbed from him. And Mr. Incredible even said, no, we're not going to take the car back. That guy bought it, even though I was told it was destroyed. But Dash is going to use that car to get them onto the boat. And we get the big fight that it keeps going around. Evelyn does not seem like she'd be that difficult to take down. Her only power is look into my glasses.
Well, literally, they just have to pull the glasses off and smash them.
Yeah, it doesn't take long to get everyone on the side. My other favorite moment, other than Jack and this raccoon, is when Crush is like, what do you mean uncrush?
Yeah.
Why don't anyone uncrush? It's like asking you to unpunch.
Yeah. That was kind of satisfying. That was the right team up. Mr. Incredible versus him seemed like the fair fight. Well, yeah, you make it, if it's a female-centric story, Helen working with Void, getting up to the plane and trying to convince Evelyn to turn the plane around. You're right. It's just, not unlike the last movie, the climax just kind of runs out of gas.
Yeah, there is a plane that's going to crash. Again, these are visuals that you've already shown us.
I mean, one of the things you can say about why that first Incredibles is better as an animated movie than a live-action movie is they were able to show us a more epic scenario than any superhero movie had done before. These days, that's not true. And they're just going to trains, planes, automobiles. It's just, there's just sort of a fatigue that I'm feeling, and them struggling to find a new plateau for the superhero genre.
They also replay the Frozone wife joke here, which I actually, rewatching Incredibles for the third time, the thing that got me to laugh out loud once was Frozone's wife. Like, honey, this is for the greater good. I am your wife. I am the greatest good you'll ever get. That made me laugh out loud in the theaters. I did not remember that joke. Hey, here, they just replay it as a nagging wife when he wants to put his suit back on and go help the boat. I wish they'd played that up a little more.
We've never seen Honey, right? Like,
Nope.
There's no action figure for her. It's kind of like sitcoms do this all the time, where, like, Home Improvement, there's the neighbor over the fence.
She's the Wilson of the universe
Yes.
here.
Yeah, in Cheers, Norm had a wife you never would see. It plays to that kind of aesthetic, and yeah, it's fun in a sitcom kind of way.
But he shows up and he's the one who stops the boat from crashing. Mr. Incredible helps turn the rudders. I guess that was Dash's idea. Like, why don't you steer the boat? And then Violet's like, yeah, use the rudders. And Mr. Incredible goes underwater and turns the rudders. And
Yeah, Dash should have figured this out by using his new math.
There you go. Yeah. Or bring back Underminer. I kept waiting for him
Yes.
to just get in here. That would have added a needed complexity to what is kind of a very boring finale.
yeah, it is. It's just, we're getting to the end. It's been kind of a long time. I'm glad for it. Frozone saves the day. Supers are legal again, which means it's almost like, thank God I don't have to stay home with those kids anymore.
Well, it's what we want, and it's if they're going to make a third one, we don't necessarily want to have this debate again. We want to see, again, what I think the promise of that first one is what would it look like in a world where everyone is super. Technology could maybe do that, and that's really going to be the fight, is how do they stand apart and be exceptional in the face of exceptional technology innovation. That could be a plot for the third one.
How do you stop Goldman Sachs with super strength, you know? How do you stop the criminals of today with the powers of yesteryear?
But we know the Pars are united because they're all wearing E's outfit. Again, they're back to the red. And even Vi, who had kind of, throughout this, had been sort of turning against the family because Tony didn't like her. Well, we see here at the very end, she's willing to give up her movie date with Tony to fight crime with her family.
We see them go after just, I don't know, some bank robbers. They're shooting their guns. This is where I thought the Underminer would show up again. Like, this is round 2.
It would be fun if the Underminer was like going to be at the end of every movie and the beginning of the next one and never caught.
Yeah.
That's just their James Bond action opening for every Incredibles film, is going after the Underminer.
And the Underminer's fun with his jackhammer hands and things. He really proved himself to not be a Mole Man ripoff in this one with the bank robbery and the big vacuum and everything. I liked the Underminer. This, it did feel like we were going back to the beginning of the last one, though, in that in the beginning of the first movie, we got to see Mr. Incredible. He's going to his wedding and he's stopping various petty criminals along the way. Now at the end, they're going to stop more petty criminals as a family. I don't think it takes 5 people, including a super baby with laser eyes, to stop a bank robbery. But maybe 4 of them can stop Mr. Incredible from demolishing the place while Elastigirl saves the day.
But will there be more movies? I mean, I saw the box office grosses. They're going to want one. I can't decide, even in watching this finale. Yes, it does feel like the end of a second installment, but they could stop here too. I do feel like they've said a lot about the superhero genre.
You don't want to wait until 2032 for the next one?
This is going to be the before sunrise of animated films every 14 years.
All the Pixar babies are actually the next generation to make the next Incredibles films.
Very interesting.
I really think Brad Bird is done. I don't think Brad Bird will come back for 14 years. I think, he passed on Star Wars. He was in line to do The Force Awakens.
Right.
I think that he took 14 years to do this, and then what he didn't really tell me he had a story to tell. It told me he went back to the well.
I think about the other Pixar sequels or prequels. I'm like Monsters University. It's just like, oh, let's do Revenge of the Nerds, but with monsters. I think Toy Story is the only one. Like, I think each of those installments get stronger, but Pixar, maybe you don't deal with sequels. Those Cars movies make a lot of money, though, I guess, with the little children.
The last one didn't, the last Cars. How did Finding Dory do? I didn't see it.
I've seen about half of Finding Dory, started watching it with the girls, and yeah, it was entertaining. Again, we're trying to find another fish, but it's entertaining.
Here's my thing this is Disney. Disney takes the cash cows and puts them into the milking machine, and eventually a husk of what used to be a cash cow walks out, right?
Star Wars. Star Wars.
So Disney may force this to happen because I feel that Pixar is going more to the sequel well under Disney, and Disney is known, they won't let anything die. Big Hero 6 didn't do very well, and now there's a Big Hero 6 TV series. Aladdin, the direct-to-video stuff. I mean, sequels are their bread and butter. There will be more Incredibles, but I think if it's a feature, it won't be Brad Bird.
But do we want them? I guess we need to wrap up our thoughts on this part 2.
Jacob Stewart, how incredible is Incredibles 2? Jacob.
I'm in a weird place with this one because I feel like if I didn't see the first Incredibles movie, I probably would have enjoyed this one a lot more because I was just thinking, oh, this is such a redo of that first one.
Which was a redo of how many other superhero movies? That was my complaint.
No, that one feels fresh and well done. Yeah, I could have taken elements, but that one at least felt like here's people that understood the genre and could give it a fresh coat of paint and a new spin. No, give me a family dynamic superhero movie that worked as well as The Incredibles. I don't think there's one out there. None of the Fantastic Four films, but this one, that's my biggest problem, is it just feels like after 14 years, you're just going to redo the first one? Okay. I mean, you're lucky, Pixar, that I like that first one, and I think this is a great family to watch, and I like the dynamic between the parents and the children. Now you add in Jack developing his powers. It's all that weird tangential stuff that I really enjoyed in this film. The actual plot, not so much. I'm like, I've seen this. I know who the bad guy is. Okay, let's get on. Let's get to a flashy fight. So, yeah, not as strong. Again, that first Incredibles film, I hold in very high regards as just one of the best superhero films. It'd be way up there. This one it's a shadow of that. It's all right. It's got the humor there. It's got the fights that I enjoyed. Again, with this animation style, maybe you could pull this off with a Mr. Fantastic live action now, but I like the Elastigirl stuff. I like Dash running around, all of that. Violet with her force fields, all that stuff is fun here. And so, yeah, I'm going to give this one a mild recommend.
Stuart.
Yeah, it's a recommend, but I think you have to take the I and the N away from the title. Pixar has made a credible follow-up. It doesn't take advantage of what I thought was really incredible about that first film. Namely, the whole themes of exceptionalism. What do? Do you suppress who you are to be a part of the greater good and society? Very interesting, fertile stuff that, yes, other superhero movies have now explored in an adult way. They had a lot to live up to here, and they did the minimum. I think they did a great looking, entertaining, amusing movie that allows you to continue to like this family. I like all of the characters here. I don't like all of the storylines they're given, but I do like Mr. Incredible, Helen, Dash, Violet, and baby Jack. I do wonder if they make another one, if they shouldn't ask them to grow up a little. I do think they should change. I do think there needs to be a new dynamic. Otherwise, I just don't see a point, because Pixar is, again, at its best when it is presenting something fresh and new. I don't think sequels are their bag. I haven't seen many of them, and I do like the Toy Story sequels, so I don't want to say it's impossible for them to make an Incredibles 3 that's as good as the first one. But I just tend to think, having seen all the effort and energy in 14 years go into this one, and the best they could offer was this, that maybe they don't have a whole lot more to say about the family unit or superheroes. They do better by creating another WALL-E, Ratatouille, something else. Be that as it may, we're here to review this sequel. I thought it was fine. I think you'll enjoy it. I just don't think it will stick with you. And it better not take 14 years to make another one, because no one would remember this movie in 14 years.
I don't know if we'll be around in 14 years.
Look into the donors on that one.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like I'm part of the club now. People feel about Incredibles 2 the way I do.
About Incredibles 1.
Yeah, you felt this way about the last movie. It was nothing special.
And I think it's consistent. I think this one's definitely a green arrow. There's things I like more about this one than the last one, honestly. I like that the crime fighting that Helen does as Elastigirl is more fun to me than watching Mr. Incredible go and fight the same robot time and time again. I think it's another check mark in the stage of the animation that they don't have to reuse the same bad guy because it takes so long to draw and render new ones, that she can do these various missions, and her powers are more fun to watch than Mr. Incredibles. If you give me a spin-off, give me an Elastigirl movie after this. I thought she was cool. The animation is heads and tails above the rest. It's the best computer animation I've seen in a long, long time. I don't know that there's better out there. Pixar has always been bleeding edge, no different. but a lot of the same flaws I saw in the last one. In the last one, I'm like, Marvel should sue for taking Fantastic Four characters. Here, I think Michael Keaton should be asking for a role in the next one because they took his Mr. Mom movie here. Everything except for the strip club visit and the poker party appears to be in this movie. And I think Jack versus the raccoon is my favorite moment of any Incredibles film. So there's definitely stuff I like more. I feel all the sub-superheroes are underdeveloped. I wish I cared more and got to know Void and